Hello YouTube and welcome back to another video. Going back to Star Wars Armada ship reviews this week, and we're going to be talking about a ship that's, well, you've probably played at least once, that being the Nebulon B frigate. However, this is going to be a lot like my Super Star Destroyer review, where I'm not going to be talking about the main build for this particular ship and focusing on different variants, different builds that you can run that are not the one that everyone uses. In this case, we're not going to be talking about Yavaris. You can see Yavaris on the bottom here. Escortfrigate. Huh, that's a funny way to spell Yavaris. Anywho, we're not going to be talking about Yavaris today. That's because Yavaris has been in all but two of the World Championship ship lists over the years, and, well, we all know it's amazing. We all know Yavaris is spectacular. So we're instead going to be talking about its sister ship, the Support Refit. So what's the difference between these two ships? What's the difference between the Support Refit and the Escort Frigate? And yes, we can drop all the jokes now and put them all aside about how Yavaris is basically just the Escort Frigate. Hardy, hardy, hard. What's the difference here? Well, the Escort Frigate costs 6 more points. It increases the squadron value from 1 to 2, and it has an extra blue flak die. That's it. They're identical in every other way. So, is it worth it? Well, yeah, obviously. If you're running Yavaris, you want as many squadrons as you can activate in a single turn. You want to go with the higher squadron value. But we weren't talking about Yavaris, so let's look at the other titles here. We'll start with the Vanguard. We just got Vanguard, who's in the Rebellion in the Rim expansion. You gain 1 additional weapons team icon in your upgrade bar. At the start of the first round, you may replace one of your defense tokens with a redirect defense token. So, start of the first round, your defense token outfit can mirror that of a gladiator. Not bad, not bad. But I want to point out here, at the start of the first round, you may replace one of your defense tokens. May. So if you don't want to, like, say for example, if you're running Vanguard against a list with just 2 Star Destroyers where you're not going to be flanked, maybe you don't want to replace one of your braces with a redirect token because, well, they should only be hitting your front, and I would think it'd be better to be able to reliably brace than to be able to redirect to a side. But if you want to redirect, you can always run Auxiliary Shields team. Give yourself 2 shields on either side, which only 1 on each side. Yeah, that's definitely a strong contender for that position. Weapons team slot, though, that's interesting. Now, if you're running a list with 2 escort frigates, one of them being Yavaris, I would say definitely look at running flight controllers in the other one here. Because with flight controllers, now obviously I would say this is not even close to as strong as Yavaris is, but an extra blue die in each of the squadrons you activate, sure, yeah. I mean, the key is that with Yavaris, you want to chew through any enemy squadron balls as quickly as possible so you can get your B-Wings hitting enemy ships twice each turn. So, yeah, get through enemy squadrons even faster. Absolutely. But the title of the video says how to fly the Nebulon B support refit, not the escort frigate. So now that I've talked a little bit about, yes, Vanguard can work as an escort frigate, we're not going to talk about the escort frigate anymore. Let's look at the support refit alone. So why do you want to run the support refit over the escort frigate? Well, simple. Are you running squadrons? If you're not running a lot of squadrons, go for the support refit and save the 6 points. The Vanguard title on the support refit, well, it's going to be a gunboat. And you really have a few options here. First option is gunnery teams. Getting 2 shots out of the front arc, yeah, could be worth it. Only thing is that is a rather narrow front arc on a Nebulon B. What you can do, and I've seen this suggested, I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but you run this as an Akbar ship. You have Auxiliary Shields team to give yourself 2 shields on either side, and you have gunnery teams to get the 2 shots out of each side arc, and use linked turbo laser towers to reroll one of the red dice, which is always going to come up blank. Is this an option? Yes, it could be good, but this ship is worth 72 points. Is this the best use of 72 points in an Akbar build? I don't think so. No. With Vanguard, what I would suggest doing is run Kakin and Sholin. You have 3 red dice, and this way you can run something like Spinal Armaments and get 4 red dice that you're re-rolling basically for free off of Kakin and Sholin every attack. That's very strong. That's very, very strong. You're getting pretty reliable damage. Being able to deal 4 damage out of your front arc at 70 points. Yes, 70 points, this will fit into a lot of fleets. The thing is, though, as a gunboat, I would say Vanguard should also be a second choice. And I don't want that to come across as this is just not a great title. It is. This is 4 points. 4 points for what Vanguard gives you is amazing. There are just 2 other titles with it for the Nebulon B that are just better. Squadrons, obviously Yavars. We'll get into the other one in a minute here. But Vanguard is a very, very good title. Unfortunately, it just kind of falls into second choice for ship titles for the Nebulon B. Next title we're going to be looking at is Redemption. This is the title card you get for the Nebulon B when you first buy the core set. This is in the core set. This does not come in the Nebulon B expansion packs. Redemption. When a friendly ship at distance 1 to 5 resolves an engineering command, it gains 1 additional engineering point. Quick little nitpick here. Shouldn't this be an engineering command? I don't know. I feel like it should be because this is engineering command. Starts with a vowel, should be an. Let me know in the comments on that. A little expensive at 8 points for sure, but it's like a less restrictive Mon Calamari Exodus fleet. That's kind of strong, especially in something like, say, an aforementioned Akbar build. So if you're on an Akbar fleet, a little like this you can see on the left here, where you've got an MC-75 and MC-80, both with Mon Calamari Exodus fleet. Akbar is your commander, and then maybe you've got a GR-75 with CommsNet there to give out tokens. Yeah, Redemption's pretty strong here, because these Mon Cal cruisers, they're going to be engineering for 7 with Redemption nearby, and one of them's probably going to be engineering for 9 if this GR-75 gives it an engineering token. Yeah, that's really strong. That is really strong. When something like an MC-80 assault cruiser, maybe you give it ECMs and early warning system, you're not punching through that anytime soon. It's going to be a grind to get through these 2 ships when they've got Mon Calamari Exodus Fleet, Redemption, and a CommsNet flotilla. Yeah, that's really strong. So Redemption is an option when you're running ships where you need something, try and keep them healthy. A little expensive, I know, but not a bad title at all. This would also be why I said I don't feel a Nebulon B with Vanguard, linked turbo laser towers, gunnery teams, and auxiliary shield techs is the best way to run a Nebulon in an Akbar build. Yes, that could be strong, but I think that Redemption is a far worthier use of a Nebulon in an Akbar fleet. And now we come to the title card you'll use on a Nebulon B when you want it to serve as a gunboat, Salvation. I'm going to be honest, this is my favorite title card in Armada. While attacking a ship from your front hull zone, your critical hit icons count as 2 damage instead of 1. What does this mean? Well, on a red die, there are 2 sides that show the critical hit icon. You can see here. What this means is those are now effectively the hit crit faces of black dice. 2 damage with a critical effect is technically what those become. Is this strong? Yes, this is very, very strong. Your red dice now have a 3 in 8 chance of dealing 2 damage apiece. That's better than black dice in that regard. Black dice will still deal out slightly more damage, but this means that your red dice kind of have more overall utility since 1 regular damage, 1 damage side is replaced by an accuracy. this is a really, really strong title. And I'll explain why. What you do is you take this title, you run turbo laser reroute circuits on your ship, and really you don't need anything else at 65 points. Now, how is this just super strong? Why is this my favorite title? Why am I gushing over this? Well, I'll show you. Quick return here to Tabletop Simulator. Here we have a Nebulon B support refit and an MC-80 going up against an Imperial 2 Star Destroyer. Now, what is the situation? Well, really, this is just to show what this ship can do and why it's so good as a support ship. The MC-80 here really isn't important. This could be anything. This could be an MC-75 or an MC-80 Home 1 type, double arcing it. It could be a Starhawk. Doesn't matter. This is a big, angry-looking rebel ship that wants to do bad things to the Star Destroyer. So let's assume that I'm activating first here as the rebel player, and I activate the Nebulon B support refit first and shoot at the Star Destroyer. Okay, what happens there? So we see we have 3 red dice in the front arc of our Nebulon B. On average, 3 red dice will deal 2.25 damage to enemy ships, unmodified. Now, that goes up when one of those red dice gets turned into a crit from turbo laser reroute circuits, that crit being worth 2 damage with a critical effect thanks to salvation. So we could probably be looking at around 4 damage here. Is that good? Yeah, off of a small ship, 3 red dice, that's very strong. This is a 65-point ship in total here. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's say we've got a concentrate fire command and concentrate fire token ready to go. Well, the dial gets us an extra red dice, so 4 red. 4 red die on their own will deal on average 3 damage to enemy ships. Again, that's probably going up to closer to 5 thanks to turbo laser reroute circuits, and maybe a little over thanks to that reroll from the concentrate fire token. So why is this important? Well, it's important because it forces your opponent into a catch-22. Coming back to our example here, if we assume a fairly reasonable damage output from a Nebulon B with salvation and turbo laser reroute circuits with some concentrate fire commands and tokens ready to go, I think we can safely assume that that Star Destroyer will take 6 damage. How will it divvy up 6 damage with a critical effect? Well, we can either 1, brace it, or 2, redirect it. If we brace it, well, as I said, we've got Rebel large ship de jour, represented here by an MC-80 battlecruiser, ready to fire at it. Assuming this is the start of the battle, the Imperial Star Destroyer is not going to be able to one-shot an MC-80 battlecruiser. So, what does it do? Well, if it braces, it's not going to be able to brace against the MC-80 battlecruiser unless it wants to burn the brace token. And generally, you do not want to burn any tokens that you don't have to, especially brace tokens. If it doesn't brace against the Nebulon B, well then it can brace freely against the MC-80, but then it also has to deal with the fact that it just took 6 damage on its shields, and it only has so many. 4 on the front, 3 on each side. If it redirects to one side, well, you're probably going to be left with 1 shield on the front, no shields on one side. Against an MC-80 that's getting ready to shoot at you, yeah, that's a tough spot to be in. So that's what really makes the salvation good. That's what makes it, in my opinion, the best gunboat option for a Nebulon B. It is able to set up these situations for your opponent where there are no good decisions for them. So putting aside my shameless gushing about how much I love salvation TRCs, let's look at the other upgrades you can put on the Nebulon B. And, well, there aren't that many, are there? Officer slot, support team slot, turbo laser slot. That's it. In terms of turbo lasers, dual turbo laser turrets, linked turbo laser towers, turbo laser reroute circuits. Those are the 3 you'll probably see the most. You have 3 red dice in your front arc. Any way to mitigate the swinginess of red dice you take. So the rerolls or being able to turn a blank into 2 damage, yes, definitely. If your Nebulon is kind of hanging back, staying at speed 1, sitting on an objective, quad battery turrets is worth looking at. And if you're running Vanguard with Kakin and Sholin, slave turrets and spinal armament, since you've got that reroll there, get those extra red dice in there. definitely. In terms of support teams, well, auxiliary shield teams are shoe-in for a lot of them. Those side arcs there are very weak. One shield. I know why they did this from a design perspective. That being because the Nebulon B has that middle spindle that is really, really weak. In fact, we see a Nebulon B destroyed by blowing up that middle spindle in Star Wars Rogue One. So I know why that one shield is on the side there. It's to represent how weak the Nebulon B is from getting hit on the side. But it also is also a glaring weakness in the ship, one that you want to rectify. Auxiliary shields team allows you to do that. Engine techs, yes, absolutely. Being able to outmaneuver your opponent is key. Very, very strong. Projection experts, yeah, I should have talked about this when I talked about redemption, shouldn't I? You may spend up to 2 engineering points to move that many shields from your ship to a friendly ship at distance 1 to 5. So not only is redemption giving your friendly Mon-Cal cruisers in your Akbar build an extra engineering point, it's also giving one of them 2 shields. Yeah, if you're running a redemption medpack build, this needs to be on it. I want to make a quick note about fighter coordination teams. It does not combo with Yavaris anymore. It used to. You used to be able to put Flight Commander and Fighter Coordination Team on Yavaris. So you'd move Yavaris, then you'd use Fighter Coordination Team, and then you'd use Flight Commander to activate your squadrons. Your squadrons didn't move during their activation, so they were able to double tap with Yavaris. It's now squadrons can't move during Yavaris' activation. It no longer combos. You can combo other ships with Fighter Coordination Team in Yavaris. So if you have, say, an MC-80 Home 1 type that moves up 4 squadrons with Fighter Coordination Team, and then Yavaris activates them, that's totally fine. This no longer works with Yavaris, though. In terms of officers, many of them are very good. Intel Officer, very strong. Salvation TRCs, here's the aforementioned Flight Commander. Major Durlin, mitigating damage. Ramus Antilles, guaranteeing those tokens. They're very good options for officer slots under Nebulon. Now, a number of you are probably thinking, when's this guy going to talk about the 13 damage meme? I mean, Salvation's his favorite title. He's got to talk about the 13 damage meme. And the rest of you are thinking, what's this guy talking about? 13 damage meme? What's this? Well, what you see on the screen here. This is the 13 damage meme. You take Commander Sato as your commander. You have some friendly squadrons get to distance 1 of an enemy ship, and then you shoot at it with a concentrate fire command from a Nebulon B support refit with spinal armaments and salvation. So with spinals, you have 4 red dice coming out of the front. With Sato, 2 of those can become black dice. And then with a concentrate fire command, you add in a 3rd black dice. So 3 black dice, 2 red dice. Well, on a black dice, as you may know, there are 2 sides on the 8-sided die that show a hit with a critical effect and a damage. The hit crit sides, 2 damage with a critical effect on the black dice. With the Salvation title, those sides now become 3 damage with a critical effect. And with 3 black dice, you have about a 57% or so chance of seeing at least one of those. So, hey, you get a black dice that deals 3 damage. Cool. But if all 3 black dice show that hit crit side, and if both of your red dice either show the 2 damage side or they show the critical hit side, and if all of those line up, you deal in total 13 damage with a critical effect to your opponent's ship. Which, yes, it's hilarious to be able to do that off of a small ship, especially one like a Nebulon B. Absolutely. How often will that happen, though, is the question. Well, you have a 1 in 4 chance of getting the hit crit side on a black dice, and you have a 3 in 8 chance of one of your red dice dealing 2 damage. So it's a 1 in 4 times 1 in 4 times 1 in 4 times 3 in 8 times 3 in 8. What's the probability that happens? 0.2% chance that happens with this build. It's why it's called a meme. Now, is this the worst way to set it up? No, absolutely not. I would just recommend swapping out spinals for turbo laser reroute circuits. Memes are always fun, but if we want to have an actual semi-competitive build with Sato, use turbo laser reroute circuits. That said, though, definitely think about bringing Salvation TRCs with Sato. Very, very strong. Because if you do the concentrate fire and you get 3 black dice in there, you're still going to be, on average, getting at least one of those black dice with a hit crit side. So definitely think about bringing this. Just manage your expectations about it. But I had to address this because there's going to be someone in the comments if I didn't. And there's probably already going to be someone in the comments because this is going to be at the end of the video. So, that said, let me know what you think of this video down in the comments. Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know. I got some great feedback on my 4 Armada ships to avoid video, and I look forward to hearing from you on this one. So, that about wraps it up. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and let me know if there are any other ships you want me to review. I reviewed this one, if you couldn't tell, mostly just because I wanted to talk about it. If there are ships that you want to hear talked about, let me know in the comments. Till then, I'll talk to you guys next time.